Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista, and today I am going to do a pantry tour with you guys. I am super excited because I absolutely love sharing my pantry. I want to first of all apologize for the really bad lighting in here. I have my grow light over there and I have really bad lighting in this back room, which it's a pantry storage, which is fine. I don't want a lot of light back here, but for video purposes, it's not the best, so I do apologize in advance. So we just finished the pantry challenge. Today is March the 1st. So I thought I would go through and show you guys what my pantry looks like after we have been eating strictly from it for the last 2 months. I might, if we have time, if this doesn't go too long, I might go in and quickly show you what our freezers look like. Our chest freezer is almost empty. Well, not almost empty. It was completely filled to the brim at the beginning of this challenge, and now it is a quarter full, which is absolutely awesome because number one, I don't want my stuff to get freezer burn, and number two, that means that what we are doing is working. What we're buying, what we're storing up, what we're stocking up, what we're growing, it's all working and we're eating it and we're liking it. I guess we'll get started. I am going to be going through everything that I have in my pantry, so it's not going to be necessarily a quick one. We'll start off with chicken soup. So I canned this chicken soup in January 2022. We just finished the 21 stuff. I noticed that we did not really eat through a lot of the chicken soup. We do like to have soup and grilled cheese, but we prefer more of the creamier soups than the regular OG chicken noodle. I do like to have this on hand though. I have 6, I have 7 jars of this still. So I am not planning on canning that this year because those 7 jars will last me for the year. Steven really does not like chicken noodle soup or chicken soup. This is actually just chicken soup. When I go and make this, I add the noodles to it after. And it's just because I do follow the Ball Blue Book for this recipe, and it says that you cannot safely can with noodles. So I leave the noodles out and just add them when I'm cooking it. But again, I'm not going to can that this year because I'm the only one that eats it and I don't eat it enough to warrant me canning a whole bunch more of it. Second thing on the shelf here is Southern style greens. All this is collards, Swiss chard, broccoli leaves, cauliflower leaves, kale. It's just a whole bunch of greens. I just made it like you would make a southern green. So it has bacon in it. I don't know if you can see the pieces. This is another thing that I only eat because Steven does not like greens. So I have quite a bit of jars of it, and I may actually this spring, I may can more of that up because I really enjoy having this for lunch. It's a really healthy, quick, easy to go lunch. So I may end up canning more of that. Next up, we have our Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. And I actually have a video where I can this with you guys. And this is our absolute favorite barbecue sauce. I don't need to can it right now, but that is something that I don't necessarily have to wait for any particular season to do because I use ketchup to make that. So as long as I have ketchup, I can make that. Next up, we have our mock bush baked beans. Those are them. We absolutely love these. These are a perfect side, and especially that we're getting into barbecue season, these are going to be perfect to have on the shelf. And then next up here, we have our bean section. I have white beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, black beans, and red kidney beans. Now the pinto beans are perfect if I want to make like a refried bean. I like having those available, and the white beans are what I use to make my bush baked beans. So those are 2 things that I really like having. And then the chickpeas, we just did that one together, and that's perfect for making either a quick roasted chickpea in the oven. So all you do is you just take this out, rinse the beans off, put them on a cookie sheet, season it with a little bit of olive oil and whatever seasoning you like. I like to do like a salt and pepper seasoning, just a pretty plain one, and they're super crunchy and delicious. I may try to do a recipe in the air fryer with that because I have seen a couple on Pinterest and they look pretty good. So we may try doing that together sometime. But that's also, I have that on hand just to make hummus really quickly because we absolutely love hummus. And especially now that we're coming into vegetable season, hummus is a perfect side to have with fresh veggies. Black beans, well, that's just black beans. Steven absolutely loves black beans, so I need to always have that on hand. And kidney beans, we do make quite a bit of chili in the winter, so I like having canned chili beans on hand. And then we have mustard that I made up. This is from 2021. I do actually have to use these up and we only have 2 left. I will be making probably next month. Next month, I will be making a batch of mustard and I will be canning it with you guys because it is so easy to make and it is so delicious. We like more of like a vinegary mustard than like the spicy one, so I tend to make it mine a little bit more vinegary, but it is really, really good. And then next up I have just some store-bought items. I have lime juice, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and white vinegar. I like to keep a good stockpile of these on hand because I am using, especially in the summer, I am using a lot of lime juice because I use it in our salad dressings. And it is in a lot of recipes that I use. So I like to really have a good stock of the lime and lemon juice. And apple cider vinegar, that is another thing I actually give to my chickens. And then I like to make salad dressings with that as well. And then the white vinegar, that's, you know, canning season. Also, that is what I use as my all-purpose cleaner in the house. I do my laundry with it and I infuse vinegar with oranges, and that is what I use as my all-purpose cleaner. So having a good stockpile of vinegar is very, very, very important to me. And I actually only have 4 right now, and I am probably going to end up going and purchasing another 2, maybe 3, because again, this is my cleaner. So I go through it very quickly, and especially being that we're coming into canning season, I want to make sure that I have a good stockpile of that available. And then we get into the tomato products. Now I did, a couple weeks ago, I did a video where I was explaining about my tomato products that I actually have on my shelf, but I'll briefly go over it again in case you haven't seen that video. If you haven't, I will link it above in, I don't know what corner it goes in, just if you want to check it out. But we have a good stockpile of ketchup. This is one thing that I have said I am not going to be making myself because it is very, very labor intensive to make and it uses a lot of tomatoes. If I have a really good bumper crop this year of tomatoes, then I may consider making some ketchup up. But as it looks right now, Azure Standards is where I'm getting my ketchup. This is all of our pasta sauce. So we have 2 rows plus this one. This is about what we would go through in a year. I am actually going to be, not next week, but the week after, I am going to be doing a huge freezer meal with you guys. So I am going to be going through quite a bit of pasta sauce when we do that freezer day prep. So I am probably definitely going to have to recan some again this year because we have pasta sauce at least once or twice a week. So making sure that we have a good stockpile of that is very, very important. Then I have my tomato sauce, which is these 2 rows and these 2 rows. I like to can my tomato sauce in quarts and pints. Depending on what recipe I'm using, it calls for different amounts. Like my chili, I go through a big quart size of it when I make it. I like to have quite a bit of that on hand. The other thing is I use tomato sauce for a base in a lot of my stuff. Like to make ketchup, I would use tomato sauce. To make pasta sauce, I would use tomato sauce. So I like to just kind of have this on hand. And I want to apologize, my rooster is going off. I think my barn cat is over there irritating him, so he just tends to go off all the time. He woke us up this morning at 4:30, so he's not on my good list today. Tomato sauce. I like to have a lot of it on hand, and I'm probably going to do another small batch this year. Next, we have our diced tomatoes. So this whole row is diced tomatoes of quarts, and this whole row is diced tomato of pints. The other thing I did not mention about my tomato sauce is I can it absolutely plain. I don't put salt in it. I don't put any seasoning in it. This is just simply cooked down tomatoes into a sauce, and that way I can make it pretty much versatile to use in anything. Same with my diced tomatoes. I just literally cube them up and put no salt in them, nothing, just water. So again, they're very versatile. Like last night for supper, we had Tex-Mex meatballs. I used a quart-sized jar of tomatoes, put some chili peppers in it, jalapenos in it, some cumin, and it was absolutely delicious. So I really like having these on hand, especially in the winter when I don't have fresh tomatoes just to use. These are a perfect alternative. Next, we have tomato soup. Now, this is a soup that I will definitely be canning more of. I have 2 rows of it right now, and these are pint-sized jars. So me and Steven will have each a pint-sized jar of it. We absolutely love this tomato sauce. I don't know where I got the recipe for it. I will be doing it again this tomato season, so I will be making a video showing you guys how I make it. But this is considered, I think the recipe is actually called a, I don't know if I should say it or not, but it's a big name brand tomato soup, and it's really, really good. It's super creamy. And then next we have our pizza sauce. We don't go through a lot of this. I can it in half-pint jars because we don't use a lot in one setting. It is usually just Steven and I eating the pizza, so when the kids are here, we obviously go through more of it, but I have quite a bit, and again, it is super easy to make with tomato sauce. So I'm not planning on doing this year. I just did these last year, so I'm good still for a while. Next up is our new absolute favorite pantry staple. This is going to have to be something that I can a lot of this summer, and I am going to definitely be doing a video with you guys showing you because I don't know how much I talk about it, but this is our favorite. This is canned bruschetta. Again, the recipe is in the Canning Ball book if you wanted to check it out for yourself. But I will be doing a video this summer, this tomato season, showing you guys how I make it because, again, this is our absolute favorite and we hardly have any jars of it. Steven actually asked for it the other night and I said, we only have 5 jars, so how much do you want it? Because this has to last us until July. So we're really kind of just having these when, you know, just as a treat. But definitely a pantry staple for us. Next, I have salsa, and I just do it in pint-sized jars because it's usually just the 2 of us eating it. Salsa was actually the very first thing that I ever canned because it was a really easy recipe to follow. I remember I got the canning book and I followed it to a T, and that is kind of what got me into canning, was salsa and tomato sauce. We don't go through a lot of it. We like to have it available because we do like salsa and chips every now and then. I'm gonna sit down here on the floor with you guys. So next we have mild diced green chilies and hot diced green chilies. I grew Anaheim peppers this year because I did some research and it says that Anaheim peppers are the peppers that are in diced green chilies. So I thought, that's so perfect. I'm gonna do it myself because these are like $1 at the store to get some chilies, and I might as well just do it myself. That's the whole goal that I'm doing with my pantry, is anything that I could possibly grow myself, I'm gonna try to do that. These, I don't think I'm ever gonna do again. They are the most, for this tiny little thing, it takes like 2 pounds of peppers, and they are the most labor intensive thing to can. So that I don't think that I am ever gonna can that again. I think that that is one thing that I'm gonna say that I'm gonna get from the store. I think that is one thing that I have decided is fine for me to pick up at the store because it is so labor intensive. But again, I've acquired the skill. I know how to do it. So if ever I can't find them in the store and I need it, I actually keep Anaheim peppers in my freezer. I froze a whole bunch because I had a really big bumper crop last year. So I froze some Anaheim peppers. So if I need to make some more like diced green chilies, I have it in my freezer. I believe in just learning how to do the skill, and once I get that skill, then I know it and I can rely on that skill. And then at that point I can make the decision and say, hey, okay, I've learned this, but I'm preferring to buy it at the grocery store. So that's how I feel about diced green chilies. Next up, we have green beans. I have quite a bit of green beans because Steven doesn't like canned regular green beans. I'm going to be canning more this year because I personally love them. I love just dumping a jar out, having it for lunch, sauteed with a little bit of onion, perfect. So I will be canning more of those. I have some sweet potatoes that I canned up. I don't think that I'm necessarily going to can them up again, just because they store so well. Like, I purchased a box of sweet potatoes, I think it was in October, from the Amish, because I unfortunately can't grow them yet. I don't have a spot that they do not rot in the ground, so I have to purchase them, which is fine. You can't, I've learned that you cannot grow everything, and you just have to be okay with just going to the store and buying what you can't grow. And even if you can grow it and you just don't have the time to do it, going to a local produce auction, local Amish, local farmers market, all that, perfect. So I don't think I'm gonna can these again just because they last so well without having to can them. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna make with these yet. I'm thinking probably like a mashed sweet potato or like a sweet potato pie, something along those lines, but they will get used. And then we have white potatoes. These are my absolute I can't stress it enough. These are such a huge staple in my pantry. This pantry challenge that we just finished up 100% showed me canned potatoes are where it's at. The reason why is because in my house, I can't store potatoes very well. I don't have like a root cellar, I don't have a basement, I don't have like a really cold room. And in my garage, unfortunately, we do get the occasional mice. So I don't want to put my potatoes in my garage in the winter, and in the summer, it's just, they don't store very well. We are very, very humid here. So I just can't store potatoes for a very long time. And during this pantry tour, you noticed we ran out of potatoes, and these were absolutely amazing to have on hand. The only thing that I found that I couldn't really master with them was mashed potatoes. I really wish that I could kind of hone in on that skill. But I actually had a couple of my viewers comment and say that you can easily freeze mashed potatoes. So I ordered 50 pounds of potatoes from Azure Standard. I should be getting it in the next couple of weeks. The only reason I ordered 50 pounds of potatoes is, like I had mentioned previously, we are doing a really big freezer prep day, and so I need a lot of potatoes for them because I have a lot of potato recipes, and I think I'm gonna actually try to freeze some mashed potatoes so that we have those available. Because like I said, potatoes don't store really well in my house. They tend to sprout very, very quickly and go soft. And then next up we have butternut squash. I had somebody actually comment on one of my videos and say, why did you can it? It stores so well. This butternut squash was squash that I had grown 2 years ago, and last summer it finally started to go bad. The only reason I can this is because it was starting to go bad and I needed to preserve it. I will absolutely never can it again because it's so easy to store, kind of like the sweet potatoes. It's not for me a necessity to can it this way, to preserve it this way, because we eat through it so quickly. Normally, we eat through it so quickly. The only reason I had some left over from that previous garden is because I had a huge bumper crop of it that year and we couldn't go through it quick enough. I have to say though, the one thing that was a bonus with having this can is when I make pumpkin bread or pumpkin muffins, anything pumpkin, you can add butternut squash in with it. In fact, most canned pumpkin products have butternut squash in them. So I like having this on hand because I can add it into like my pumpkin bread that I make, and it just kind of adds more pumpkin-y flavor to it. So that was a benefit of actually having that can. Next we have beets. Now I am the only one that eats beets, but I really, really enjoy them. I absolutely love beets. So we have 6 jars left. I'm going to attempt to grow my own beets this year. So So hopefully, fingers crossed, they work. I've tried it the last 2 years and they have not worked out for me. So I'm hoping that this year we can get a good beet harvest, and then I will can up some more for myself, because like I said, I absolutely love them. Down here is where I keep kind of my broths. So over here we have chicken broth. This is something that I don't necessarily need to wait for a particular season. I do need to get another batch of chicken broth and beef broth done. I like to can them in pints and quarts because each recipe calls for a different amount, and I like having that amount on hand. So definitely that is actually on my list to do within the next month, because I only have 1 quart left of chicken stock or chicken broth. I try to incorporate it into almost all of the recipes I cook because it is so nutrient packed that I love having it in my meals. So we go through it very, very quickly. Next here I have some turkey stock. I have found that we're actually not using this. I'm not gravitating to this as much. I actually made, I can't remember what it was, some meal this weekend. It actually called for chicken broth, and I ended up using turkey stock in it, and I couldn't tell the difference. So I think I'm gonna try to get some of this turkey stock used up before I can any more chicken stock, just because I know that I have to use this up. Next up, we have salsa verde. This I made with green tomatoes, and I really, really love it with the green tomatoes. This year I'm planning on trying to grow a bunch of tomatillos. Probably attempt to make some with the green tomatoes and see which one I like better, but so far I really like the green tomato one. And then we have green enchilada sauce. I think I actually did a video with you guys canning this. We don't go through a lot of enchilada sauce, so I probably won't end up canning any this year. And then we have just regular red enchilada sauce. Again, same situation. We don't go through a lot of it, so that is not really on my list to can this year. Next up here, I hope you guys can see, I have a couple cases of this tomato paste. I just get this from Azure Standard. This is another product like the ketchup that uses an insane amount of tomatoes to make, and it requires a really, really, really long cook down time. So I have said to myself that this is a product that I am not at this point willing to really use my tomatoes for. Again, if I ever have like a really, really good bumper crop, then that may be something that I consider making, but right now I get this from the store. I have a couple cases stocked up here, and it is because I use it when I make my ketchup also, so I like to have that on hand. So that is it for that particular canning shelf. Then we have a second canning shelf over here. And up here is where I keep all of my jam. I have strawberry preserve here. I don't gravitate to use it a lot because it is very, very, very sweet. The recipe is in the Ball Blue Book, and it uses a lot of sugar. So I am not going to be making that again with my strawberries because I do not like a very sweet jam. Most of my jams up here are all low sugar jams, and it is because I like to taste the fruit and not taste the sugar. I love my sweets, but I do not like sweet jams. I really just find that you're just really eating just sugar. So all of my jams, with the exception of a couple of them, are a low sugar jam. Next up here, and I have a video that we did together, it's pumpkin butter. This is really, really good. Then we have a brown sugar vanilla banana butter. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's got walnuts in it. It is another one of those recipes that was really, really sweet. And in fact, it was too sweet for me. So we don't really use it a lot. It is a very good like ice cream topper, but I would not put it on toast or bread or anything. It's way too sweet. Then we have strawberry jam. Again, a low sugar one, so we do go through this quite a bit. We We have some apple butter, some peach jam, which I'm probably not going to end up making peach jam again because we really don't eat it. I think if we ate like pork products more, we would probably go through the peach jam more because peach jam would be really good to go with like pork stuff, but we don't eat a lot of pork roast. So it's just something that doesn't get used very often. So I'm probably not going to make that again. Then we have blackberry jam. This is one of Steven's favorite. Blackberry is his favorite thing. So we have a couple jars of that left, so that is on my to can list this year. This one is plum jam. This is another one that I kind of canned because I thought I would like it, but it's a little sweet for me. But one thing I do use with this plum jam is I make a sweet and sour sauce with it. So I really like having plum jam available. I don't need to make it though because we still have quite a bit of jars left because I didn't make a lot of sweet and sour sauce this year. But plum jam is excellent to do that with. Then we have strawberry rhubarb jam, which I only have 3 left of, so that is on my to can list this year. Then we have raspberry jam, another one that is my favorite jam, so I definitely need to get that in stock. And then we have whole cranberry sauce. I think I found cranberries on sale somewhere and I ended up making a whole bunch of that sauce. My favorite thing to do with that cranberry sauce is put it on some bread with cream cheese, and it is absolutely delicious. That is a really yummy kind of treat that I have. Next here we have corn syrup. I made this from some corn kernels. When I was canning you know what I realized? I missed a couple things on my canning shelf. When I was talking about corn, I'll go over and we'll go through it. But I used my corn kernels when I was making my canned corn. I saved them and boiled them with some sugar and we made corn syrup. I've not used it yet, but I like having that on hand. Then we have some cowboy candy syrup. Have cowboy candy down here, and it is not something that I'm gonna have to can up this year because I have quite a bit. I'm the only one that eats it. Steven says it's too sweet and too hot. So I am the only one that actually eats the cowboy candy, so I don't need to can it up this year. And then we have some caramelized onions. Steven does not like onions, so I thought I'm just gonna make a whole bunch of caramelized onions. I made these in August, and I love them. They are really, really delicious. When I just want to have onions on something, I can take a jar out and heat it up, and it's perfect. Now, Steven does not like regular green beans, but he does like the dilly beans or pickled beans. So I only have 5 jars of these left. I'm probably going to make him a couple of jars this year because these ones are from, oh my, these ones are from 2021. So I definitely need to make him some fresh, we call them dilly beans, but they're just pickled beans. Over here we have, you guys can see me. Over here we have some canned pineapple. I only have 4 jars of these left. They are really small jars too. I absolutely love having this on the shelf, and it is so easy to can. When you find pineapple on sale, that's what I did. I actually ended up finding some pineapple on sale one day, and I brought it home and cubed it all up because I didn't want it to go bad, and then I canned it. This is so good, so good. It tastes so fresh. And it doesn't have like a sugary taste to it. If you've never canned pineapple, I strongly recommend it. It's so easy to can because it is a high acidity, so it doesn't take a lot of steps. And it's really good if you can find them on sale. So I do need to actually get some more of that canned up. The other thing that I found that we absolutely loved during this pantry tour was having cranberry juice on hand. I only have 4 more jars of this, and one of these jars, it's not very much. It's like it will last us a couple of days. And I actually end up diluting a little bit because it is very concentrated. But this is absolutely something that I need to have on my shelf. And in fact, I have a order with Azure. I ordered 5 pounds, and I am planning on canning up some more of that this month because that was such a saver to have during this pantry challenge, to be able to crack that open and have some fresh juice. It was awesome. And then right here, I have all pickled jalapenos. I have a lot of them. Last year, I got a bumper crop of jalapenos, so I obviously had to use them, so I canned them up. This year, I said to myself, I'm not gonna grow a lot of jalapenos because I don't need my cowboy candy. I don't need this. However, I am going to be making a jalapeno hot sauce that I do need jalapenos for. So I told myself, you can grow a couple of plants. I've started, I think, 14 jalapeno plants. I need 2. So I have a problem when it comes to seed starting. I just plop seeds in, and then what happens is I can't get rid of this, like when the little baby seedlings come, because I usually, for germination purposes, I usually put 2 seeds in each seed pod, and then I just do them down the row, so I end up with 8 seeds times 2. Anyways, I'm probably gonna end up selling the starts because I only really technically need 2 jalapeno plants. So I guess I will show you what I didn't get to show you over here. So we have our canned carrots here. Stephen absolutely loves canned carrots, and I am planning on going to Costco this weekend, and I'm gonna pick up a whole bunch of carrots because we are going to can up some more because we do go through these quite a bit. We eat these at least twice a week. He never actually liked carrots until I started canning them, and now he loves them. So this is one thing that we definitely like to have on the shelf and we'll always have a good stock of. Next over here is the corn. We only have a couple jars left of this, and that is my major focus this year is corn. I actually have a whole huge section of my garden that I'm dedicating to corn because I did not can up nearly enough last year. So that is, we only have 5 jars left, and that's kind of like the bruschetta where we're just having it very, very sparsely because we're trying to just conserve it and use it not a lot. But that is definitely something that I know I need to get a lot of this year in my pantry because we do go through it quite a bit. And then we have canned peaches. That is not something that we actually eat a lot of, kind of like the peach jam. We absolutely love fresh peaches, but that is about it. We're not a fan of like the peach pies, so I don't really need to can a lot of it. I will probably just can a couple of jars this year, but I don't really need them because we still have quite a bit there. And then we have a apple simple syrup and a peach simple syrup. These are really, really delicious to put in like a tea. If you're making like an iced tea, these flavor it delicious. Even just a regular tea that you're making, they make it really sweet and they give it that flavor. So I like having those. Next here I have some canned rhubarb. I only have 4 of them left. I love snacking on steamed rhubarb. All of this is just rhubarb that I've cooked down with some sugar. This is a snack that I remember having a lot as a child and I really love it. So I'm going to be canning it more this year. And then we have some pear sauce. I have 5 jars, but we really didn't gravitate to that. We more got the applesauce, so I probably won't end up canning any more pear sauce. And this tomatillo green jalapeno sauce, this is the whole reason I am growing jalapenos this year, is because this is our favorite hot sauce. We literally put this on anything imaginable. Even if you don't think that you would want a hot sauce, we would put it on it. So this is something that I really need to get, and next time I can them, I'm actually going to be doing them in pint-sized jars and not half pints because we go through it so quickly. So that is one thing that I'm really going to have to get a lot of this year. I also tried to can my own pimento peppers last year. I grew some and I thought, I'm going to make pimento cheese. I'm going to can my own up. Like the diced green chilies, very labor intensive and not really worth it. I would just assume go and get these at the store for the amount of effort that it takes to do that and the amount of peppers it requires. That's another one that I've kind of said, I'll get that at the store because it's very time consuming for me to do it. And then I have pickled beets, and I only have 4 jars left of these, so I do need to get more of these canned up. Like the regular beets, I really, really love pickled beets also. So that is on my canning list. And then I have a maple onion jam. This stuff is so good. So good. I got this recipe from 1870s Homestead, and she did a video on it, I think. This is very good, and if I can find the video, I will link it either in the description or I will link it here. But I would definitely, if you like onions and you like the sweeter onions, this jam is so good. And then we have about 3 quart-sized jars left of pumpkin. This is sugar pie pumpkin that I grew last year and canned up, and this is a major necessity in my pantry. We love pumpkin bread, pumpkin muffins, anything pumpkin, we really love it. But each one of these jars really only gives me like maybe not even a cup of pureed pumpkin. So you go through a lot of it. I mean, I'll definitely can it again this year, but I think what I'm going to do is, instead of canning it, I'm probably just gonna end up pureeing it and freezing it, because that works really well. And I find that because it's pureed, I've taken most of the water out of it, so I don't have to let it drain as much. I'm also playing around with growing a couple of different varieties this year to see if I can get a more meatier pumpkin. So that's something that we need to can up because we only have a couple jars of it. So I actually had to stop the video in the middle of recording because I did not realize what time it was. And it is Wednesday, and that is the day that I go out and pick my milk up from the Amish. So I had to stop, run out, pick it up, but I'm back now. So we will continue on. Next up is beef stew. I canned this and I have 4 jars left, and I really don't gravitate towards it. Steven doesn't like it, and the beef in this turned out really dry, and it is very liquidy, and I like a thicker gravy soup. So I am not really wanting, like, it's not, when I'm craving something, this is not what I gravitate to or when I want a quick meal. So I'm gonna eat these up and probably not can it again. It's not my favorite way of making beef stew. I do like the, you know, if we're gonna have it, having it kind of cook all day and roast. That's kind of what I prefer than the canned stew. But this is an excellent meal if your family loves beef stew and you are in a hurry. Beef stew is an excellent thing to can. It's just not for us. Next up here, I have some pickled Sugar Rush peaches. I had a fairly good crop this year of Sugar Rush peach peppers. It's kind of a tongue twister. It's not something we liked. So I pickled these up. I am not growing them again this year because it wasn't something that we necessarily, like, it wasn't a pepper that we absolutely loved. I did attempt to make some peach pepper hot sauce. When did I try to do this? In August, beginning of August. And because we had so many Sugar Rush peach peppers, and we just don't like it. I don't know if it's the color of the sauce or what it is, but this is not a hot sauce that we particularly enjoy. I have 3 jars of that hot sauce, so we'll use it up. Like I said, I'm probably not going to be really growing those again. It wasn't our favorite hot pepper. We have another fail for me, at least. Steven says he can tell when I open a jar because it smells like tuna in the house. So I'm not going to can the bone-in chicken anymore. However, we are all out of our shredded canned chicken, and that we absolutely love. It is so convenient. It tastes like as if I would already have baked a chicken or made a chicken. So definitely that is on the list to make again. I do have some whole chickens in the freezer that I'm probably gonna end up roasting and then maybe canning that meat because we are getting some new meat birds, like baby chicks. We're getting them in March, so we will be processing chickens again in May. So I want to kind of get the old chicken stuff out, and I think a good way of doing that is by canning it. And again, we like the shredded chicken versus the bone-in. And then last on that shelf, we have some pears, and I just canned them with some cinnamon in it. They're okay. I think that that would make a really good like pear crisp if I put some apples in it and some pears in it. Again, we don't really gravitate to the canned fruit. We really enjoy more of the fresh fruit. So for me to can fruit, it's definitely good in the winter to be able to like make an apple crisp or a pear crisp with it, but it's just not something that we super enjoy. And I really like the idea of being able to eat in season. So I believe in like the summer when the berries are in season, you just kind of eat a lot of them at the time, and then you get sick of it, and then you don't want, well, I mean, I don't get sick of it. I could eat berries anytime, but that's kind of what I'm trying to get more towards, is seasonal eating. With that being said though, this upcoming berry season, I do plan on freezing a lot of berries. That is one thing that I found I go through a lot of, is frozen berries, and I love having them in the freezer. The strawberries I am planting, after I am finished this pantry tour with you guys, I actually have to go outside and plant all of my berries. We were working until past dark last night. Like, we were in the dark working, and we were filling up those beds back there. So we have all of our strawberry beds filled. So I have my bare roots in the garage right now, so I'm gonna go out and plant all of those. So next year's strawberries, we will hopefully have enough on our property for me to be able to make my strawberry jam and freeze all of the strawberries, but we gotta wait a year for those. Sorry, again, the lighting is really bad in here. So right here we have some applesauce. This is just some sweetened applesauce I made. We have quite a bit of it. We're not eating through it as much as I actually thought we would be, and I think it's because it's back here, and if it's not in the fridge, we don't necessarily grab it. So I have been making a conscious effort of trying to bring it out of the pantry and putting it into the fridge so that Stephen knows that we have it available, so that he just goes and grabs it. So I may end up canning a couple more jars of this year, because again, when we got really sick in January, both of us were out of commission for a week. Applesauce was my saving grace. I lived off of this stuff. So I really like having this on hand, and like I said, I'll probably end up canning just a couple more jars of this, but I don't need to do too much of it because we do have quite a bit here. And then I just got some just regular apple pieces canned up. I actually made a apple crisp with this, and I drained the apples and made the apple crisp with it, and I realized after I shouldn't have drained it. So these are really good for doing that when you don't have fresh apples. So I might can up a couple more of these just so that we have them for next winter, because like I said, it was a really tasty apple crisp. It just needed the liquid that I accidentally drained. This is another thing that I will not be growing this year. I actually didn't even seed start any because I just don't need it. Banana peppers. We have so many pickled banana peppers. We eat a lot of them though, but this last year I had such a good crop last year that I was able to can up enough to get us through for a couple years, kind of like the jalapenos up there. I canned enough to be able to get us through a couple of years, so I don't have to worry about putting these on the pantry shelf this year, which is nice. It saved me a little time so that I can focus on some other preserving. Pepperoncinis is another one of those ones. We really love pepperoncinis, and again, I had such a good harvest this year or last year that I was able to put up enough to get us through for 2 years. So really, peppers last year, I had such an amazing pepper year that I was able to put pretty much all of our stuff that we normally would have for like a pepper product. I was able to almost preserve enough for 2 years. So I am still planting peppers this year, but a lot of it is just for fresh eating and then for making hot sauce, because we don't need any of these other condiments. And then I showed you the peach hot sauce. And then this is another thing that I'm definitely doing, and I really would like to get a couple more on the shelf. It is canned ground beef. This stuff is amazing. It makes meals so quick. I just have to heat it up and add seasoning to it, and it is absolutely amazing. So I highly recommend, if you've not tried canning beef, like ground beef, definitely give it a try. Next time I do can it, I'm gonna try to be more conscious of getting the fat off of it, because this has a pretty hefty fat layer that I don't really like. And normally it does compromise, if you have too much fat in it, it can compromise the seals, but these all sealed, so they're fine. But definitely in the future, I will be trying to make sure I get all of that fat off. But canned ground beef is something that I love having on my pantry shelf, and we'll definitely be doing a lot more of in the future. And next up here, I just have a little bit of this honey. This was just one that I had purchased from the Amish, but I had actually been able to find a local beekeeper in our area, and I purchased 2 gallons of honey from him, and this stuff is so good. So we have 5 quarts of honey plus this one from the Amish. So we're good for honey for a while, but I probably will order more from him again in the fall, because that's when I ordered this, because we do a lot of honey with stuff, and I'm trying to use it more in cooking, so we'll probably end up going through this quite a bit. We're gonna get into the pickles now. That is another thing that I'm not growing this year, is cucumbers, because we have such an insane amount of pickles. And a lot of these pickles are 2 years old in here, so I do really need to get using them. We're just not pickle eating people. I do like the occasional, snack. We don't do a lot of sandwiches, and then we don't really put them on burgers. I don't know why. Maybe, again, because they're not in the fridge. So we have sandwich pickles here, which I kind of like thinly slice them, and then we have some bread and butter pickles down here, and then we have some sweet pickle spears, and then we have what my daughter calls Krabby Patty pickles, and it's just because of the way that she sliced them. These are a spicy dill pickle. So that is it for our pickles. And like I said, we don't eat a lot of them, so I am growing 1 cucumber plant this year, and it is like one of those long seedless cucumbers, because I do enjoy those in the summer to have like a tzatziki sauce with, or just in a salad. So more fresh eating and no preserving it. I didn't go through this. This is sweet cucumber relish. I did this last year, and so again, I have enough to get me through, because Steven doesn't like cucumbers, so maybe that's why he doesn't really gravitate to the pickles. He doesn't like relish either. So you'll notice that anything that Steven does not like, we have a lot of it in the pantry, because I'm really, me or the kids are the only one that are eating through it, and the kids are only here when they're not in school, so they're not here full time. So stuff tends to last a little longer on our pantry shelf. The other thing I have here that I actually have to get out and start using, but I haven't had the need to, is I water glassed some eggs last year. I'll have to go through them. I have water glassed eggs before, and it is a excellent way to preserve eggs when your chickens are laying a lot, like in the springtime. I've kind of come up with a solution on how to deal with my chickens not laying during the winter months, and it is simply make sure you are bringing in a new flock of chickens every single spring, because by the time those spring chickens start to lay, it is fall time, when the older ones are starting to wean off of their laying. It is very natural for chickens to stop laying in the winter, at least older chickens. So that's kind of the way that I have made sure that I always have eggs available for me during the winter months. You can see my 5-gallon buckets. These are just sugar, flour, rolled oats, salt, and then some extra bread flour. That is where I keep that storage. I do have some more in a closet in one of my back rooms. That is one thing that I definitely make sure we are stocked up of. In my laundry room, I do have another pantry cupboard, and in that pantry, that is where I keep all of my overages of spices. So I buy all of my spices in bulk, so I keep them all in 1/2-gallon mason jars in that pantry. kind of the only spot I have to put it. I don't really have any more spots, so we won't go through there today because I do have a lot of laundry running and it is very loud in there. One thing that I was able to do when kind of quickly going through my pantry is I made a kind of notes for myself. I made a goal list. So what this list is it's just saying what I need to can for tomatoes and what other objects I need to can. This year's pantry for me is going to be all about stocking things that we love. It is very, very easy to get influenced by what other people are putting on their pantry shelves or what other people are growing. I am definitely guilty in being influenced because I have grown things before that I just did not like. I grew it because somebody else said, raved about it, that they loved it and said that it was a staple that they had to have on their shelf. And I tried it and it just wasn't for us. So this year is all, for me, this gardening season is all about optimizing the space that I have in my garden and growing only the things that we love. The things that I know we consume a lot of. Corn is a perfect example of that. Carrots, another example. We eat so much of that. And for me not to put a large portion of that in my garden would be ridiculous, because that is the whole purpose for me of growing a garden, is to grow what we love to eat. That's kind of what my takeaway from the pantry challenge has been, is just make sure I'm stocked up on what we love to eat and not stocked up on things just because somebody else says that it's really good. I mean, definitely try, like give it a try. Like if you think that you will like it, then by all means give it a try and grow it and preserve it. But with money being so tight, I really want to focus on just doing what I know we like. That was my little tiny pantry tour. It is definitely tiny because we have been eating through it for the last 2 months straight. My final total from the last 2 months, how much I spent in the grocery store, was $24. So I had purchased, in the month of February, I had purchased 2 containers of sour cream, and I purchased a couple bags of kale and lettuce from our local farmers market. And that is all I've spent in the last 2 months. So we were able to, I would say, nail the challenge. We really just focused on eating in and just eating what we preserved. And again, it showed me areas where I need to improve, and it showed me areas where I probably didn't need to put that much effort into it. So I have to say, at the end of the pantry challenge, I absolutely loved it. The other thing that I really enjoyed from the pantry challenge was typically in the months of January and February, I deal with, I don't know if it's seasonal depression or I don't know what you would call it, but I deal with like just not being able to be outside and be in my garden and just not being able to be as active and just kind of eating, bland food because nothing's super fresh anymore. And I found that all of the other years I've just really, really struggled with it. But during this pantry challenge, it was a huge motivation for me. It gave me something, kind of a goal every single week I had, was to let's see what fun and exciting thing I can make this week. And it kind of gave me a little bit of a goal. And January and February honestly just flew by because I was so focused on eating from the pantry and so focused on the meal planning, and just it gave me something to, I don't want to say look forward to, but it gave me something fun to keep me busy during those kind of blah months. So definitely in the future, I will be participating in the pantry challenge because like I said, I really enjoyed it. And it really helped us eat through some of that stuff in the freezer, and just being more aware of how much we ate out, and we did save quite a bit of money because we didn't eat out at all that month. I definitely enjoyed the pantry challenge. I am glad that we are now in springtime and I am starting my garden, because now I'm shifting gears and now I have that to kind of keep me motivated. So I hope you guys enjoyed that quick little tour of my pantry. If you did, if you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys. I realized after when I was editing that I did not show my curtain setup. I've had some people ask me about how we do it. So these are the curtains that I have across my pantry. And all my husband did, all Stephen did, was he just took some screws and he screwed them in to this shelf. So you can see them back here, kind of, again, really bad lighting in here. I believe he had to use a special attachment on the drill because he was drilling into metal, but that is how they are screwed in on both sides of that. And then this one, we just screwed it into the wood, which was really easy because this is a wood shelf. So we just have them like that. So I just thought I would show you guys quickly. I know that I already ended the video, but I thought I would come back and show you. There it is. Thanks again for watching, guys.